Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to our time of gathering and worship this morning. My name is Michael Richards, and I'll be leading our time together this morning. I would encourage you at this time to please silence all your electronic devices so we don't have bells and whistles and things going off through the service. And let us just take a moment to settle into our sacred space. Before we begin our time of worship, I invite the heads of our committees and groups to come forward to the microphone over here and to share their news with us so that we are all kept up to date.
That's why y'all should sit up front. You get better access. I have two announcements. The first is from Ann Packham, our vice president and the coordinator for this year's Thanksgiving dinner. Due to a low number of people who are going to be able to make it, it has unfortunately been canceled. However, we may have another gathering time later in the holidays. It was going to be too few people to be able to justify the amount of work and understand. And the good news is it's because a lot of you are traveling to go see family. And so we wish you all the best, and obviously that is the thing. But gather together with one another if you can. My other announcement is this Wednesday night at 7 p.m. we will be doing a Blue Holidays service. And so what that is for is if, the holidays are kind of a rough time for you, either family issues or, grief or being distant from family, whatever. Sometimes you just get the blahs, and it's just too much. Come to this service, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. here. We're going to honor that. We're just going to acknowledge it, name it, set it out there, and do some, reflection around it. So I hope to see you there, and that is all of my announcements.
Joey Cole, my first hat is SAC, which is our Social Action Committee. We will be meeting next Sunday after service. And along with that, as part of SAC's efforts, we are still collecting for the Knights Pantry. There are a lot of kids who are going to college these days who are homeless. What do they call it? Couch surfing at various people's homes. So we are contributing to Knights Pantries. The food, there's a list on this box up here. I've also put in, we've contributed $100 towards $20 gift certificates so people can buy turkeys for Christmas or for Thanksgiving this year. So we have 5 of those in there, but we are still collecting till the end of this month for Knights Pantry. Also, we are collecting, starting next week, brand new toys. There is a list on that door right there on the window of that door that tells you the kinds of toys they're looking for. But any new toys, this will be for the Hope Community Center in Apopka. There's a list on that door as well as you're coming into this the sanctuary. So there's a couple of places you can look. Please, anything you can contribute, we will be taking them on the 12th, so it's only a couple of Sundays that you can bring toys in. So please keep that in mind, and do keep the tags on. And my last hat is hospitality. Laurie can't be here today, but I am still trying to get volunteers for coffee on Sunday. They suggested yesterday at Pastoral Care that if I can't get people, we're going to have to lock the door and there won't be any coffee. You don't want that, I know. So please, if you can possibly volunteer one Sunday, we'd really appreciate it. And it's very easy. There's great directions there, but there's always somebody else that you can ask if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. In regards to the Helping Knights Pantry, we have a list that you can take with you. I'll put it on the table over here. There's also a list for needs for students with dietary restrictions as well. So not all of them are eating chips and things easily. So I'll put both of these lists on the table. Please feel free to grab one at the end of our time.
Lindsay Stroh for the Auction Task Force. I am so pleased that we have a nice group of people who have volunteered for this. Yay. And we will be meeting right after church in the library today. Happy Amin, who is the person who makes sure that we can have people on Zoom, will be telling us about when they had auctions here before when she was the head of it. So I'm very glad to have her input. Come join us in the library after church. Thanks.
Good morning, John Mowbray on behalf of Facilities and Grounds. Next Saturday is work day, so if you can come out between 9 and 12. Again, you don't have to stay all 3 hours. If you only have a half hour you can spend, we'd love to have you. I won't be here next Saturday, so Derek will be the taskmaster. But just to kind of give you some ideas of what we're looking for is pick up some the debris from the hurricane that came through would be helpful. Pulling weeds, maybe Memorial Garden, the front, other areas. If there are any plumbers and you want to tackle irrigation pump that we need to replace out back, please take a look at that. We'd appreciate it. If we have any electricians, we need to install 2 thermostats right over here by the door going down the hallway. We've got some doors that aren't closing properly, and we think there's an issue with the latch. So when the door closes, it's not quite fitting into the latch. If somebody has a way to kind of file those latches down, see Derek. Then we've got, if somebody can maybe pick up 2 bags of mulch, you can expense that. It needs to go out back here, and we have the real fine mulch that is in the back. So it's pine mulch, and we got it at Bollinger, I think, over whatever road that. It's the purple bags, the Bollinger. And the last thing is we've got some ants around the property, so we've got some stuff to put down for that. So if y'all can help with that. All right, thank you.
And I'm Martha Kirby, current board president. A reminder that our quarterly meeting is going to be on Zoom this month because we're required to have it during the 3rd week, and we're not going to do it next Sunday. Beth's memorial service is going to be at 1:30 on Sunday for all that of you can join us. Our quarterly meeting will be on Thursday night, Zoom, and the Zoom link will be in the notable news on Thursday, and it was in the notable news last week. So we'll start at 7. This Thursday at 7, the 17th. Okay? Oh, and Trista is coming back. Yay! I hope you're listening today. She was very appreciative for this time, this leave of absence, and she's going to start working part-time this coming week. Right now, it's going to be on Tuesdays and Fridays. We'll be publishing the exact hours, but when she's here and working, she can answer emails and pay attention. When she's not here, she's not working. So we're going to help her through that. It'll be part-time. Well, she was always half-time. It's going to be a little less than half-time for a while and gradually build back up. So everybody, send her an email to welcome her back. Or maybe not. Don't overwhelm her. But she's coming back, and we're very pleased. Okay.
Thank you. My opening words this morning, I have chosen to take them from a book called On the Brink of Everything, written by Parker J. Palmer. In the book, he tells of an incident while he was attending a large meeting. He says, "In the midst of my reverie, one of the women looked my way, broke off from the group, and walked directly to me. Without any preliminaries, she grabbed my arm as if to keep me from fleeing, and said, 'I've just returned from a meeting in Des Moines about Native American rights, and I want to tell you what I learned.'" There's something to think about there. Which she did, he said, in considerable detail, as she tried to recruit him for her project. When she left, having achieved her goal, I thought, she's not grandma in apple pie. She's the kind of person I want to be when I'm an old man. He goes on to say, our youth-oriented culture sends a message to elders that can discourage and defeat us. It's a time to withdraw from serious engagement with a world that's changing so rapidly you can't possibly keep up. So take up harmless hobbies and hang out at home. He says there are only 3 problems with this message. First, it robs older folks of sources of vitality, meaning, and purpose. Second, it robs the world of the gifts that elders have to offer. And third, he says, it's ridiculous. Other than that, he says, it's a great idea. When I'm with the elders who have a mind and heart connection with the world that is beyond their walls, I find their vitality contagious, he says, even if they are confined to their home. As I read that passage, I saw our 4th and 6th principles at use. A free and responsible search for truth and meaning, and the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. What tools help us achieve these goals? So stay awake, stay focused, and stay tuned for Reverend Tracie. Our music this morning is going to be led by Stephanie Messler, and our opening music is Come, Come, Whoever You Are.
Good morning. Okay. Raise your hands if you know this piano. Okay. That was formed the copies of my heart. Okay. Let me see where the choir is located. I got some choir here, some choir there, some choir here. Okay. All right. The reason for that, do you guys remember doing row your boat in elementary school? Yes. Do you remember how the music teacher made you sing it as a round? Yes. That's what we're about to do. Now is row your boat. Okay, so let's first go through the song all together. For those who don't know it, and some of us who just need help, and we'll go through it. And ready?
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, causes no caravan of despair. Come, get and come.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to split this into a 4-part round. Okay. So I want you guys right here. You're group 1. Okay. Okay. Here. Yeah, this row here. Okay. You guys here. You're group 2. 2. And you're going to see me go like that when it's your turn. Okay. You guys right through the middle there are group 3. And you guys are group 4. Okay? And all of you have a choir member with you who should know what they're doing. All right. Ready? And oh, yeah, do it twice through. When you get to the end of the tune, no matter what the other sections of the room are doing, when you get to the end of the tune for the second time, you stop singing. Okay? Otherwise, we'll be here all day. Okay, I'm not going. Okay, everybody up? And get ready for 1. Get your page, come, ready, and.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, causes no terror of despair. Come, get This morning we light our chalice, and our chalice lighter this morning is Ani. And Ani's pronouns are she and her. She's 5 years old. And the joy that she has to share is that after church, she's going to the trampolinium. And we say our words in the light of truth and the warmth of love. We gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And now join me in our affirmation of who we are as a congregation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. I want to wish a warm welcome to all of you who are gathered here this morning, and especially for those of you who are visiting us for the first time. We encourage you to come several times to see who we are. Our services are different each week. Sometimes Reverend Tracie is with us. She's with us 2 Sundays a month. And then the other Sundays, maybe it's led by a lay person from our congregation, or we have people come in from academia or some of the other charitable organizations in the community. So come not just once, come several times, and I think you'll find that we are a very warm and friendly congregation. Please take a brief moment now to turn to those around you and greet each other. I know this is a time when, as I say, we're a friendly congregation. So this sort of greeting could go on for hours, but let's focus and settle into our spiritual side as we continue with our time together. And after the service, you can share your joys with everyone. But now it's time to share our joys and concerns that we have. With our church family, we also greet all of those who are visiting with us online today. So take a wave to everybody that's there online. Hello. We are so glad that you can be with us today. You are a very important part of our congregation and of who we are. Remember that what you say is going to be going out over the airwaves, so be careful. I will start with the joy. Judith and I last night went to 1U, and they had a concert there. It was the Flying Horse Big Band. And it's a group of students and the teacher from UCF. It's their jazz band, and it was amazing. It was so much fun. They played for an hour and a half, nonstop, and it was great. And it's amazing that the professor who leads them has played with all the biggies. He's played with Duke Ellington, with John Coltrane, and all the biggies. And the students were just phenomenal. If you get a chance to see them, and they're playing over the next couple of months in several locations around the area, treat yourself. It's a lot of fun. So that's my joy. When you share your joys, if you like, please come and take a stone and put it over here. Otherwise, I'll do it for you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Karen. This is my sweet son, Ethan. And I have the best joy. We got to go to the Model Railroad Club open house yesterday. And it warms my heart because that is not my hobby at all. But, yes. Oh, yeah. So I just wanted to share how much gentlemen who step in, and women who step in to teach young children new hobbies, it just delights my heart because they saw his joy and they let him drive not just one, not just two, but 3 of the trains and control them. And that just...
My favorite one was Amtrak.
Yes, he got to do. Then they even gave him one as he left. I'm like, oh my gosh, such joy. Such a joyful day. So, thank you.
That's a big one.
Hi, my name's Chloe McElroy. My sister survived her first week of her job, which is very nice. She was still very nervous, and she's still nervous. So just continue to send her good vibes, so she, feels like she's able to accomplish this job. She's learning a lot in a very short amount of time, and this is the first time she's restarting a job in a while. So I'm just hoping that she continues to learn and speak up for herself because she hasn't been doing that. But also, all 3 of the women in my family have digestive problems, including myself, and all 3 of us have been having a very bad week digestive-wise. So just send good vibes to my mom, who's actually not here because of that reason, and to myself and to my sister, that we all just stop having so many issues. That'd be lovely.
Hi, I'm Livy Wheeler. I have 2 joys. My first joy is that Ani said it already. We're going to the trampolinium/trampoline park, and it's a pretty good thing because it helps me overcome my fear of doing the trapeze because the thing is 3 feet high and I feel like I'm gonna fall off so quickly if I miss the catch. But it's a good thing because I kind of overcome my fear a little every step. The more you try, the more you lose fear of doing it. And my second joy is that my other mom did the adoption thing for me, for all of us. Finn, Ani, and me, virtual for the judge. They agreed, and we are a family in law for some paperwork that I don't understand at all. And yeah, thank you.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to follow that. Gosh. So many of you have been following along in our moving journey, and prayers, good wishes, all of that. Our space that was supposed to be ready on Tuesday is not ready yet, and so we are starting to scramble and freak out, and it's cascading because family's looking to sell the house, and so we kind of need to get out of the way, and it's just a whole thing. The good news is, though, this past Tuesday I had my candidacy review for my Doctor of Ministry, and I passed. I am officially a doctoral candidate. Thank you all for your massive support. The love that you all have given me through this process has helped so much, and I appreciate every single one of you. And so be on the lookout. There'll start being information about the project for next in the spring. So thank you.
Hello, Chloe Hatfield. My joy is that I was able to go to the Lady of the Lakes Renaissance Festival yesterday. I got to see a bit of friends there, one that I haven't seen in years that I used to work with at Hollywood Studios. So it was really, really nice bumping into her. I screamed her name. I'm like, Caitlin! And ran to give her a hug. It was really nice. My concern, though, is that the dress that I'm wearing, that I was wearing yesterday, I made back in 2016. When I was 19 years old. And it's a very big, historically accurate Renaissance dress, lady-in-waiting Renaissance dress. It still fits, which is fantastic. That's my joy. But my concern is that it's 30 pounds and I can't wear that weight as much as I could when I was 19. So my body is in pain. So I'm very tired, in a lot of pain, but I am very happy today.
Hi, I'm Finn, and I just got this kitty. And I like it, and it's from Afmal. and it's season we're live, and Livy really likes that mail, and that's mine.
I'm Margie, and I have a pile of joys. I was supposed to host the new member party at my place, but my daughter-in-law called me a couple of days before and said, "You got to come to Detroit now. The baby is coming. It might be." So I flew up to Detroit, and I was going to cancel, but my husband said, "No, I'll host it." Well, that was a nice surprise. So off I went to Detroit, and the baby didn't come for 5 more days. And but he's lovely, Charlie, and he's about a week old now. So, and you know, and thank you also to those who helped out with greeters, because neither Ray nor I have been able to be here. So joys are having all of you as support, and everything else wonderful in life. Thank you.
Roberta and Harvey Lerman, we have a joy. We are expecting to be great-grandparents. We had the gender reveal party yesterday. It will be a boy and a girl. They're twins. And they've already picked out names, Henry and Sophia. And they will be due in February or March.
I have a joy that I'm gonna make a marshmallow wreath today.
Morning, everybody. My joy is that I'm actually feeling pretty great, and the 2 of the cancer scares were ruled out. There's 1 still to be determined, and I feel so much better that I almost don't care. But the truth is they don't know what's caused all the problems. So I'm basically getting poked and prodded a lot, which brings me to my concern. I have an appointment Thursday morning, and because I was in a car accident last week, my fault, nobody hurt, car in bad shape. I have to go to the doctor Thursday, and if anybody is available Thursday morning when we're down cars and I need transportation, I would love it. And it's an appointment that they're squeezing me in because I was on the way to this appointment when I had the car wreck. So now they're just kind of squeezing me in where they can squeeze me in because I need to see them. And so I think it's going to be somewhere between 10:30, Lindsay. I'll stop talking now. Bye. Thank you. That's another one of my joys. Thank you.
I'm almost in kindergarten. I'm already in kindergarten. My teacher is Miss Grant and Miss Perry and Miss G, and I'm going to the dentist. Thank you.
Two joys here. One is from Evelyn, who says that her son is coming tomorrow, and they will be traveling to Maine to have Thanksgiving with the family. I have my own joy. Last week was a concern, but this week is a little bit more of a joy. Democracy got a little bit of a reprieve on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Still going on. Counts are still going on. Florida needs to step up, of course. That's my little concern. So what we can do in our church and in this state to protect Planned Parenthood, the LGBTQ community, the Jewish community, Islamic community, migrant workers, healthcare, and environment. To keep up doing what we're doing here in this community, in this church, and team up with others as well to protect the rights of all our citizens. But the young people throughout the nation brought it. That's the power of democracy. So, my joy.
As you can see from the jar, we've had a lot of joys and concerns today. And we're thankful that we are a community that can take the time to celebrate not only the joys, but the concerns that we have. for ourselves, for our loved ones, and for the wider community, the world. So please take a moment of silence just now and lift up these concerns and joys that we have had today. And now we come to our time for all ages. Do we have time for all ages today? We do.
We do have time for all ages today. So how many of you, and I'm especially the kids, but also the big kids, how many of you have built something? Legos, models, furniture, any of that stuff? How many people like building that kind of stuff? All right, yeah. How many of you, when you think of IKEA or having to put together furniture, would just rather not? Yeah. See, to me, IKEA furniture is grown-up Legos. So kids, you do have the opportunity as you get older to be able to build things, and it's really kind of cool. But one of the things, especially with IKEA, is you get like instructions like this, right? No words, just pictures. You got to figure it out. You got to know what you're doing to be able to get it together, and you need the right tools. Right? Because what happens, often, and this is what I happen to have left over because I save all my tools from these little kits, is you get, an Allen wrench, sometimes smaller than this, right? And you crack in your knuckle. And, maybe my TV came with an actual screwdriver to put the base on, and so I kept that because it's handy to have a little TV. Sometimes you get really lucky. My treadmill came with, a nice big Allen wrench, but of course it's too big to actually be able to swing it all the way around. And that gets hard sometimes. Sometimes you don't have those extra tools. And then you can't build it. Or you do like I've done, and I've used, other things as hammers when I don't have a hammer. Has anyone else done that? Is that just me? Yeah, okay, it's just me. Okay. So, but sometimes you get smart and you get the tools you need for the job ahead of time. And so one of the things that my husband has, which I love, is he has one of these multi-Allen wrench things with a nice big handle, cranking too hard. And so he's of the opinion we don't need to keep any of the Allen wrenches of the 5,000 different sizes we get from IKEA and stuff like that, because we have this. And this is handy. And this is what we need, right? We need to know that we have the right tools to do the work that we're going to do. So kids, I want you to think about different things you can build, and grown-ups, we're going to talk more about our tools that we need for the work that is ahead of us. So thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Tracie. We now have the opportunity to show our support for the ministries not only of Triple U, but also of a nonprofit organization in the region that reaches out to others. 40% of our offering goes to a different group each quarter. And this quarter we are supporting the ACLU. So as the baskets are passed around, our choir will sing to us, "Beloved Community." And the words and music were written by our very own Janet Levins.
Yeah, hi. So I wrote this a few years ago actually. And it's all about finding our best lives together, not with a rigid striving towards excellence, but with warmth, forgiveness, and love.
Once we dreamed of Edens off afar, no storms, no chill did those idols mar. We sought pure peace and happiness. shunning ill, striving, shutting out the stress. We ourselves belie this fragile dream. He who left besmirching everything, willing the good and that alone brought despair, made us ourselves disown. Now we move onward on the path of hope. If we sometimes falter on the slope, we forgive ourselves and others too, growing close, loving, moving on anew.
It's our time when we allow our children to leave and head out to the back room for religious education. So let's sing them out. We love you and bless you and send you on your way. We love you and bless you today and every day. Our speaker this morning is our own Reverend Tracie, and this morning we will discover, if we haven't already, that the journey toward building beloved community is a long one. And if we are to do the work we are called to, we need tools to do it. Reverend Tracie will explore the tools that we Unitarian Universalists need to carry with us and use on our journey forward.
Thank you. Am I on this one? Okay, good. So I'm going to move around a little bit. The first person to coin the term beloved community was not actually MLK. It was not Howard Thurman. No, the first person to coin that phrase was 19th century American religious philosopher Josiah Royce. Now, Royce's phrase and ideal were a part of the theological vocabulary of Boston University's School of Theology during the 50s, where King got his doctorate. So that's how he picked up that terminology. For Royce, beloved community was characterized as, quote, a spiritual or divine community capable of achieving the highest good as well as the common good. Royce believed, quote, every proposed reform, every moral deed is to be tested by whether and to what extent it contributes to the realization of beloved community. When one cannot find the beloved community, she needs to take steps to create it. And if there is not evidence of the existence of such a community, then the rule to live by is to act so as to hasten its coming. If you can't find it, create it. And if you can't find evidence of it, make it happen. For Royce, this was accomplished by individuals striving towards this goal. The more people who work towards this, the greater the possibility of achieving it. King then built on this ideal. In addition to Royce's radical transformation of individuals, King believed that there was a need for a, quote, deep restructuring of institutions if the beloved community was to be realized. In her book, Killing Rage, Ending Racism, Bell Hooks had this to say about beloved community. Quote, beloved community is formed not by the eradication of difference, but by its affirmation, by each of us claiming the identities and cultural legacies that shape who we are and how we live in the world. So that begs the question, doesn't it? How? Oh, you all actually want me to answer that? Okay. Well, we get to work. We get to building. We get to restructuring. You see, this isn't a passive thing. We've come a long way, but not anywhere close to far enough. There is still work to do. And as we saw in our Time for All Ages, we can't do this work without tools. So what tools do we need? Every so often, I'll get a phrase stuck in my head. Much like earworms with music, these are often quotes, or from time to time, they're little bits of scripture, especially the bits I actually memorized as a kid. Because being the nerd I am, was, whatever, it may come to no surprise to you that I participated in Bible quiz as a teenager. Yeah, somehow I was able to hold a lot of trivia and memorize bits of scripture in my head along with all the song lyrics of the 90s. They were competing against one another. Lyrics of newer songs have since pushed most of that trivia out of my head these days, but much like an old VHS tape, there are still bits that flip up from time to time. And those of you who are younger than me and don't know what that is, ask your neighbor. When I was in Bible quiz, we focused on 4 short books. And one of those was Ephesians, a letter from the Apostle Paul to his church plant over in Ephesus. So these books in the early Christian scriptures were letters meant for that church that had a relationship with Paul or another writer, and often contained answers to questions that the church had asked in their own letter. It would be like someone taking an email that you sent to someone else and slapping it up on a website, okay? I think of Paul every time I answer an email because you never know. He didn't mean for these to be out to everybody. Anyway, this letter to the Ephesians included a theology lesson that I won't go into right now because it's just too much, and some advice. Near the end of the letter, there is advice for how to work against injustice and oppression. Now, okay, the author is talking about larger enemies than just their fellow humans, but that's not the part that kept popping in my head over the past few weeks. No, the phrase that kept popping in my head was the full armor of God. Now, if you're feeling a bit itchy and a little uncomfy right now, just hang with me. I promise this part will be quick. The verses that phrase referenced are in Ephesians 6, verses 13 through 17. Now, usually I use the New Revised Standard Version because that's the one recommended for scholarly work and that I had to buy when I was in seminary. But I'm going to quote from what I memorized this in, the New International Version. Here we go, and I am totally reading this because I no longer have this memorized. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand. Stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Now there's 2 parts to this. You see it, right? There's the things we wear and then the things we hold on to and use. So let's look at this and see if we can apply it to who we are as Unitarian Universalists. And if the God language works for you, keep it. And if it doesn't, we're going to work to find some other language. So just hang with me on here. We've got some other metaphors we can use. First of all, we're told to do this so that, quote, when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything, to stand. Remember what Royce said about beloved community. When one cannot find the beloved community, she needs to take steps to create it. And if there is not evidence of the existence of such a community, then the rule to live by is to act so as to hasten its coming. We need to use these tools to be able to stand our ground. Against what? For what? Well, in the 2 verses before this passage, Paul tells them to put on this armor to be able to stand against evil. And in striving for the beloved community, we have to be able to stand, to hold the line against the evils of empire and the creators and perpetrators of oppression. Okay, so we know why we're doing this. Let's get suited up real quick. First thing Paul talks about is the belt of truth buckled around your waist. Now, I don't know about you, but I imagine those big belts that fighters and wrestlers wear, right, when they win their championship match. You know the ones I'm talking about, right? The huge dinner plate or serving platter size in the front. Absolutely not practical. Well, I guess a little practical, because if you're wearing that out, no one's going to hit you in the stomach. That's for sure. But it definitely makes a statement, right? Maybe something like, we covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every individual. Big old flaming chalice on the front. Sorry, I'm getting craft ideas in my head. Anyway, back to the whole armor thing. The belt of truth, right in the center of your body. The tender bits of our body and our soul, right in front where everyone can see it. And right after we put on that belt of truth, we need to put on the breastplate of righteousness. Now, I can see how that word may not work for everyone. I've been beaten up with righteousness from religion before. So let's find a synonym for that. And again, if this word works for you, keep it. And you can add this to it if you want. I really like the word integrity as a synonym of righteousness. So let's put on the breastplate of integrity. And that breastplate goes over your heart. And it continues down to the waist, which pops that bubble of UU title belts. But again, this breastplate protects your heart. Living in integrity protects your heart. Living out your Unitarian Universalist values protects your heart. Last thing we need to put on, then we'll pick up our tools. And this is where I actually like the New Revised Standard Version better. It translated this part to, lace up your sandals in preparation for the gospel of peace. Now, gospel is simply translated good news. So we lace up our shoes in preparation of the good news of peace. Again, why are we putting all this on? To stand. And after we have done everything, to stand. So we lace up our shoes in preparation for the good news of peace. Or to say it another way, we covenant to affirm and promote the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. We don't put these shoes on and boom, we've made it. No, we're lacing them up for the work. Why? So we can stand, and after we have done everything, to stand. All right, armor's on. We've got our belt of truth, the breastplate of integrity or righteousness, and we've laced up our shoes in preparation for the good news of peace. Now let's pick up our tools for this work of building beloved community. Quote, in addition to all this, take up the shield of faith with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. The shield of faith, the shield of conviction, the shield of what it is that you believe to be true in this interdependent world of which we are a part. That shield. Why? Because this work to bring about beloved community is hard. It can be draining. And if you don't have a why in your heart and soul for why you do this work, you will be struck down. Struck down by burnout, struck down by apathy, struck down by the flaming arrows of the evil one. And I'm not talking about demons or devils or aliens or whatever. I'm talking about the evils of racism, the evils of poverty, the evils of war, the evils of climate change. These evils that will make it hard for us to continue. These are why we need a shield. Now, I'm not talking about the little round shields that you've seen. No, I look back to that time the letter was written, and I'm reminded of the Roman shields. The tall shields that protected the soldier from pretty much everything. The Romans had these shields that were curved rectangles, kind of like big clay roof tiles, if you've seen those. The Romans used this cool shield technique called the tortoise. Now, basically, the people in the front held their shields in front and kept their heads below their shields. And everyone in the rows behind that first one held their shields above their head, flat to the sky. And the shields overlapped so that there were not any gaps for arrows to come through. And the gaps that were there were right in the front so that the front line could get their head back up and be covered and see through that opening. So with the shield of faith, conviction, or your why is best used in community. Because then we can protect all of us. Paul then says to take the helmet of salvation. Now, I have some good news for you, and this is good news for everyone, really. Our Universalist ancestors believed that we were all saved, that salvation was worked out in our communities by saving each other, here on this earth, in this time. So how's a helmet a tool, you might ask? Because that simple statement of our own history can save people, literally, here, now. There are so many people who are harmed in religious traditions that tell them that who they are or who they love condemns them to hell. Our Universalist ancestors remind us that we are all created in the image of holy, that our mere existence is sacred. For the Universalists, they could not imagine a creator damning their creation to hell simply for existing as that creation. My friends, that is a saving message. Not soul-saving necessarily, but life-saving. Helmets also protect our brains, and we like them too as Unitarian Universalists. Just in case you thought I was getting a little too touchy-feely, squishy soul-like in this sermon. And when I looked up Roman helmets to get an idea of what Paul might have been looking at, I learned something interesting. The Roman helmets, yes, plural, were influenced by the people around the Romans. I can go into a whole other tangent about the, colonization and all of that, but I won't. The sermon's already going to be long enough. But it made me think about our other saving message, the part where we're a pluralistic faith and draw from many sources. Why is that a type of salvation? Because it means we're a safe space to deconstruct and reconstruct your faith. We're a place where you can ask questions, or get asked questions by me, and not a lot of places allow for that. It was this fact that I could deconstruct and reconstruct my battered and bruised faith that saved my life. I'm a brand new person since coming into Unitarian Universalism. In the same phrase, Paul says to take up the helmet of salvation. Paul says to also take up the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. Now, buckle up, because I'm about to get all kinds of nerdy on you here. The Greek here, which is the language the early Christian scriptures were written in, uses the word rhema for Word of God. Well, what does that mean? Well, according to Plato, logos is basically a sentence made up of anoma and rhema. Anoma refers to the nouns, and rhema refers to the verbs. Take up the sword of the Spirit, which is the verb. The verb of what? Well, in some Christian theologies, logos refers to Jesus, and rhema refers to the spoken word that we think of, that we give to people. How is that a tool? Here's what I want to offer you. What if? What if the rhema is the verb love? Take up the sword of the Spirit, which is love. Now, I may be wrong in my interpreting and reading, and I'll grant that, because I don't know how to read Greek yet. But besides, this is simply the passage that sparked my thinking about the tools that we as Unitarian Universalists need for the journey to beloved community. So let's go over that through that lens. Here is the New Revised Tracie version of Ephesians 6:13 through 17. Therefore, let us put on this armor and pick up these tools, so that when we are faced with the evils of oppression, we can stand our ground. And after we have done everything, to stand. Stand firm then with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of integrity in place, and lace up your sandals in preparation for the good news of peace. With all of these, take up the shields of conviction together, with which you will be able to quench all the flaming evils of oppression. Put on the helmet of our saving tradition, which shows our pluralistic faith, and the sword of the Spirit of life, which is love. Thus ends our reading. My friends, we have to do work. We have work to do to create the beloved community. We cannot do it alone. We cannot do it without these tools. We cannot stop until we create it. And if we don't see it, we need to act so as to hasten its coming. Amen. May it be so, and blessed be.
Personally speaking, I've yet to hear a bad word from Reverend Tracie. She nails it every time she speaks, in my opinion. Let us now extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice.
But not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment.
These we carry in our hearts, until we are together again. Our closing music this morning is Let Us Commit. The words and music by Loretta Notareschi, and our choir will sing and we will join them.
Yes, this is one piece of a larger collection called Let Us Sing, Community Songs for Gathering and Going Forth. So we're going forth here. But I just want to say that when I purchased this music, I spoke with Loretta Notareschi, and she wanted to know what our plans were for this. And I said, well, I think it's a good choir piece. And she said, what? I wrote it for the congregation. And I said, what? Your congregation sings in 5 parts? And it turns out that she's from Denver, and they do, actually. They have a very large congregation. They have 5 choirs. And I said, well, we're going to compromise here. And the choir is going to sing the first 2 verses, and then you are going to sing the third and fourth verses with us. We will be singing in 5 parts. So Stephanie will be singing melody. Gary and Oakley will be harmonizing with Stephanie. And then we have Sarah, Martha, and Marilyn, who are going to be doing a sort of counter harmony. And so what I invite you to do when you sing along is try to sing with any part. It doesn't have to be the melody. Okay.
I think we've really been blessed this morning with good music and great words. So for my closing words this morning, once again I take them from Parker Palmer's book, On the Brink of Everything. So I'll continue with a project I launched in 2011, he says, when I published Healing the Heart of Democracy, one that involves helping all of us, myself included, to resist the divide and conquer strategy that undermines the reality and power of we the people. This is the work of cultivating civil discourse, a way of talking to each other across our political divides that is less about watching our tongues than valuing our differences. Only by discussing our differences openly, honestly, and with civility can we honor the intentions of the framers of the Constitution, who gave us our first system of government that regards conflict not as the enemy of good social order, but as the engine of a better social order. If we hold our conflicts creatively, this work does not have to be done in large-scale public forums, but can and should be done in smaller venues, the family, a friendship, a neighborhood, a congregation. To me, that was a good reminder of our fifth principle, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregation and in society at large. My friends, our time of gathering and worship has ended. Now, our service begins. Go into the world, be strong and of good courage. Hold fast to that which is good. Render to no one evil for evil, but go rejoicing in the power of the creative and loving Spirit. But before you go out into the rain, stop and enjoy a nice cup of coffee or hot tea, lemonade, and some goodies. Thank you all for being here.